We interrupt your regularly scheduled conspiracy video for the need or necessity to cover this absolute bullshit breaking news. And whoever Bill Cooper was or was not to you, I'm well aware of all the possibilities. This isn't my first rodeo. I like the quote either way. January 6th, and what Trump was just arrested and arraigned about. I'll fill you in if you threw out your television set and haven't read a newspaper in over 10 years. In the words of Bill Cooper, I'll take the quote and I like it. If you believe it, if you believe what's being presented about January 6th, you're one of the dumbest individuals to ever walk the face of the earth. So yesterday Trump was arraigned, whatever that means. He was arrested, or he had been arrested, but he was fingerprinted. It doesn't matter. He appeared before a judge. And the charges are these against Mr. Trump because of the January 6th, 2021 break-in of the Q morons and the Trump flag-flying morons, supposedly, according to the script of this world, broke into the Capitol building. And Trump, he was planning all that. He's responsible for disrupting the democratic process. That's what they say. So there's 3 counts of conspiracy against Mr. Trump. Yeah, I know. Let's let it go, first grade truthers. Hey, that's 3, and then A, B, C. That's 3, Matt. Yeah, I know. Let it go. We're tired of that stuff, first grade truthers. We know. We knew that 10 years ago. And there's 1 count of obstruction, whatever that is. Maybe he can't pass something through his bowels. I don't know. 3 counts of conspiracy, 1 count of obstruction. So yesterday, Mr. Trump stood before the judge, and she said, I state your name. And he said, I, Donald Trump, or he said, like the Delta House, he could have said Pinto or Flounder or something like that, and then said, I state your name, I state your age. And Trump says, age 77. Does that mean 77, sir? Who would state their age like that? Matt, that's another code. He said 77. Yeah, we know that's how the world works, first grade truthers. Let's move on. And then the big moment, they said, Mr. Trump, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? It wouldn't be funny if he said guilty and they took him away and we never saw him again. That would be an interesting twist. Not Nilk, if you're listening to the words coming out of my mouth. Why don't you twist up your predictable plots once in a while? Why don't you lay down a different sort of ruse? Your cunning attempt to trick the morons, not us. Do something different once in a while. Have him say guilty and haul him away. You can take him to David Bowie Island or take him wherever. At least it would be different. Well, of course, he pled, I'm not guilty, and I didn't do the things. I didn't drum up January 6th. My pickup truck army did that on their own. I didn't want them to break into the Capitol. Okay. So now this has been playing out since January 6, 2021, which was just a few weeks before the Honorable Joe Biden's inauguration. Put your hands out like identical. The January 6th break-in, all drummed up by Trump, of course, it was just a few weeks before Joe Biden's inauguration because they say Trump was trying to hold on to power. He wanted to be Thanos. He didn't accept the election results. So it makes perfect sense to the moron on the street. See, if Trump's Q army and flag-flying morons can secure the Capitol building, and then, I don't know, maybe he can come in the back door and set up shop in there at a plastic table and surround himself with sandbags. If he can set up shop with his morons in the Capitol building, somehow all of what they call democracy can be thwarted. The inauguration, I guess, wouldn't have gone through. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs would have laid his allegiance down to Trump and the people that broke into the building. I'm glad it didn't succeed, because you would have had what's called a constitutional crisis if he would have. So, see, Trump, it didn't go well for him. He was this close to being emperor of the United States and then of the world forever and ever. And then he would pass that reign to Ivanka, who would then pass it to Jared. It would have gone on. We would know nothing but Trumps for the next 200 generations, like Napoleon on steroids times 1 billion. So, it was a close one. I mean, thank heaven it didn't work. And Joe Biden's inauguration was allowed to proceed. And the beautiful Democrat processes of this country were allowed to continue. But it was a great risk for Mr. Trump. He put the risk-reward on the scales in front of him. The reward for his morons breaking into the Capitol building and succeeding and holding out like Clive Owen, an inside man. Denzel Washington keep coming to the door. Come on, man, you don't want to be president forever. Come on out. Let Joe Biden take over. No, deliver pizzas, deliver water. Just like inside, man, it could have gone down. It was all thwarted, though. But when you put something in motion like that sort of dastardly deed, and you weigh that on the scale of risk reward, and it doesn't work out for you, now it's time for Mr. Trump to pay the price. And he's facing up to 4,000 years in jail. So yesterday was the arraignment. He was fingerprinted. He said, I state your name, Pinto, Flounder, state your age, 7'7". That's like a fifth grader would say it if it wasn't sort of skull and bones coding of some kind. And then he said, you are allowed to be released, Mr. Trump. We don't see that you're a flight risk, although you're a billionaire and you do have a backdoor access to David Bowie Island. We know you'll stay close because you want to win as a criminal. You want to run for president again. Mr. Trump said, I ain't no flight risk. I'm going to be right down the road here golfing. You can put somebody on me if you want. I'll have Ivanka see to his lunch. So now what could take place is completely unfathomable from any sort of Young and the Restless or As the World Turns or Guiding Light script. If somebody presented this sort of script to a soap opera, they'd say, "What? Get this out of my face, boy. We have to make our scripts believable here on Guiding Light." Nobody would even take it from a soap opera perspective. What you mean, Matt? Well, potentially, the man running for president will also be involved in a criminal trial. So as Mr. Trump is campaigning, he might not be able to go to certain states because he'll be a witness in his own criminal trial against him. How do you think they'll play this script out, Matt? To get maximum viewership, it could be he might be found guilty like right around the day of the election. He'll win the election, become president, but then be found guilty and hauled off to jail. So then here comes your constitutional crisis again. So do you see how this script could play out? The election will be November, okay? Not this coming up November, 2024, November, about a little more than a year from now. Say Trump is then, the people go to the polling places because the elections are completely legitimate, of course. Who would possibly question it? He's now elected president-elect, okay? The inauguration then won't be until the middle of January. Okay, they know they won in November. They got to wait till January. Put your hands out. This is how it works. So what number president would then Trump be? So he was the 45th president. 5 and 4 is 9, first grade truthers. Joe Biden is the 46th. He's the 10th. And then would Trump be the 45th again? Or will he take the new number? Mr. Trump was the 45th president and the 47th president. 7 plus 4, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no. If Trump goes back in as the 47th president, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So his gematria is the 9, and then his gematria will be the, oh, no. You don't think they'll put that as part of, they might. So Trump is 9, 10, 11. Oh, my God, make it stop. So let's back up a second. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see how this could play out. So right in the middle of the primary season, which Iowa's first in the primaries and then New Hampshire and the campaigning, and you go into each state and you push for votes, he could be in a criminal trial. He can't. Are you going to go to Iowa, Mr. Trump? I can't go to Iowa. I'm in the middle of a criminal trial, and when I'm not sitting here in the courtroom, they bring me in. Are they going to bring you in chains or an orange jumpsuit? Will be allowed to wear a suit? He's got to go sit in a jail cell, right? Isn't that the way it's typically done? I mean, maybe OJ will be back there next to him. He can't go to Iowa to campaign. How's that going to work? He campaigned through Instagram and Twitter or whatever it's now called, X. Mr. Trump, you going to go to New Hampshire? I can't go to New Hampshire. I take the stand tomorrow as a witness for myself in my criminal trial. So, of course, this will drum up the Trump supporters. It will be a landslide in favor of Trump because of the injustice that they're doing to him in this Bold and the Beautiful Guiding Light script. Though his best campaign of all time will be the damn trial, which will be on television, of course. He won't need to campaign at all. It's like, look at that injustice of what they're doing to our man. More flags in the back of pickup trucks, more Q releases, more wins for Don. So here's ultimately how it could play out. He then The election comes, he's then the next president, the 47th president of the United States. But say like a week before, he was found guilty. And now he's at a federal prison or something, or who knows where he's, Leavenworth, or who knows where he is, Andy Dufresne's old cell at Shawshank. He's literally potentially, per this script, could be in prison watching the election results on some TV. So they let you tote that record player down there, Andy. No, I had it in here. I had Mozart in here. I knew the election results. I took them through the air. They didn't let me tote a TV down to solitary confinement. But I know I won the election, even though I'm here in Shawshank. So all they need to do then, again, if they can inaugurate Trump in his jail cell somehow, you want to talk about constitutional crisis. If you can put his hand on the Bible and he can say that you smuggle in the Chief Justice, throw Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility over him. Chief Justice comes in, says, Mr. Trump, you can't see me, but here's a Bible. Put your hand on it. I'm going to swear you in. In my jail cell? Yeah, I'm going to swear you in right from the jail cell. If he then can become president from his jail cell, say, as they're hauling off the Chief Justice, then what is it, Captain Hadley's hauling the Chief Justice down past Red Cell. He say, pardon yourself. He says, just like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School, when he put the shovel in the ground, dedicated the Thornton Mellon School of Business. He says, I dedicate this building to myself. Mr. Trump could say, I pardon myself. Then he just walks out of the jail. Nobody can touch him and goes back to the West Wing. End of story. So if you're a Democrat Party insider and Nancy Pelosi strategist, and I know you people do listen to me, here's what you need to do. You need to assume that Trump is going to win, even if he doesn't, you need to plan for this right now. Listen to me, Nancy Pelosi strategist. You need to assume Trump is going to win the election, but also assume he will be in jail at the moment he wins the election. Therefore, all you need to do is prevent him from being sworn in. He cannot become president if they can't get that damn Bible through the bars. Maybe they'll try to have Brooks deliver it. A book, Mr. Trump? It's a special book. Put your hand out. Maybe, who knows? You got to make sure he will get no books from Brooks. Make sure he don't put his hand out on the Bible. Make sure there's no Chief Justice that can come anywhere near that prison. Then you can be assured he can never take the spot of 47th president. What you do after that, you extend Joe Biden's term, you put in a king, I don't know. Put in Lizzo, I don't know. But at least you can keep Trump from being the 47th president if you can just keep that Bible and that Chief Justice away from his damn jail cell. Well, Matt, this is all rather interesting and slightly disturbing. I never really thought that this could potentially play out, but you conspiracy loons, what do you think happened then January 6th? What do you believe? It's not what we believe or think happened, what we know happened. Okay, whatever. What you conspiracy loons know happened. Humor me, whatever that means. What happened? Nothing. What you mean nothing? Absolutely nothing, like that 10th level of Metroid as presented in Jarhead. And I've had people come to me, Matt, you don't understand Metroid. That's not what happened. I don't care what happens in Metroid or not. I don't care about properly quoting Jarhead. I like the way I present it. It doesn't, in either way, 10th level of Metroid, per our own hobo code, means nothing happened other than a script played out. See, 5 people went out and drummed up a bunch of Q idiots or drummed up a bunch of flag flyers on the back of their pickup trucks to do, let's take the Capitol. It doesn't matter who was in the know, who was actors. You don't need that many people involved to drum up idiots. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's still a coordinated script. Whether people were drummed up and misled and manipulated, or everybody there was dark ops and in the know, it doesn't matter. It's all a script. The head of the eagle has a right wing and a left wing. The left wing is the Dems and the Libs and the Nancy Pelosi's and the Rachel Maddows, and the right wing is the Rush Limbaughs and the conservatives and the neocons and the Glenn Becks. And both wings serve the head of the troll. The head of the troll benefits by the flapping of both wings. Who can't see this? What kind of morons have the American populace become? Now, many decades ago, the script or the acts of the play of the American political circus exceeded Vince McMahon's WWF wrestling, WWE wrestling. It got more absurd than the World Wrestling Federations. This happened decades ago with Bill Clinton saying, I'm looking in my eyes. He was that woman. I never, he dropped an ISIS. He said, it depends on what the definition of is. That's dropping an ISIS to you and me. He says, I want you to hear, I'm going to say this once. I'm only going to say it once. I never had sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. What's that stain all over her damn dress for then, Bill? Okay, this absurdity has been going on for decades. It's so absurd, the different acts of the play, we forget many of them. Now, if they push it to new limits, and Trump is like behind bars begging to be inaugurated, then honestly, I have a little bit of hope for my family and friends that I care about, that they might wake up to this absurdity someday. If they buy this bullshit that's about to go down with Trump, I don't care anymore. I will find my way to my own David Bowie Island. I won't be able to take it. Creepy Table and Nancy Pelosi strategist listening to the sounds of the words coming out of my mouth, you better be absolutely sure that the populace is mentally gone and zombified to the degree that you believe they are if you're going to put forward this sort of bullshit spectacle with Trump. I mean, maybe he'll be screaming like this, the end of The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman in the church. Trump will be screaming with his hands through the bars, and they'll be holding the Chief Justice back. It'll be like Wonder Twin powers activate. If the Chief Justice can just get the Bible to Trump, put it in his hands, then who knows? Maybe Trump can find a way to be inaugurated as the 47th president. If he can just get that Bible that they use for the swear-in, he could say, I don't know, a custodian, somebody sweeping up, come here. Or he could fake a medical injury. The nurse could come and could say, here, I want you to say these words over this Bible. Then I become 47th president. But they've already put another president. We can create another constitutional crisis. Who knows what this script has planned here? Just when you think it gets to the limit of insanity, absurdity, they turn it up. And somehow our family and friends believe it all. What's the matter with the people around us? When did we lose World War Z, that movie Brad Pitt was in? What movie? World War Z, about the zombie apocalypse. Whole cities go complete zombie in like one day. It spreads so fast. Matt, you don't think that Generation Z is the generation born up through 2010. You don't think Generation Z, the generation that will soon be voting and will soon control the world, the final generation before we go into the digital environment, you don't think that movie's making a statement relating or equating them to the zombies? No, I would never think that. You'd have to be one of those people to put that sort of lunacy out. But in general, I don't get it. What do you guys think happened? You can say nothing. Well, what is that? Something happened. Well, what do you mean this script and all this acts of the play? Well, what's the point of all this? I just stopped watching CNN last night, and I believe it's all real. See, this political thing that they have going, this power structure, it doesn't work if it gets boring and people just, like The Young and the Restless goes off the air, right? If Nikki and Victor stop doing whatever they're doing, you have to keep interest. Then you also split the country right down the middle. So this side is Republican and this side's Democrat. And of course, it's always just right down the middle. It's always so close. It always comes down to the last day. That makes sense, how the country could be divided right perfectly down the middle, 49.5 and 49.5, and we have to wait an extra day or two to see who wins elections. Oh, that makes perfect sense. But then you get the fighting, and it creates controversy, gets people involved, it gets people fighting with the other family members down the end of the Thanksgiving table. And this is how the political structure gains power, gains energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. Wouldn't after like a couple hundred years of this bullshit, one side would be proven to be the better choice? I mean, think how ridiculous. It's always right down the middle. One side, we're like, well, we have this track record of success, and when the other side gets in, it's all screwed up. And no, it's always screwed up under both sides. They just screw it up in a little bit different way. And people like us, conspiracy loons, step back. And then we go up in our balloon and we look down and say, this is a gigantic script. And if you get too close to it, people fall for it. But if you just back up like 5 feet and look back, you're like, that looks ridiculous. And people are somehow buying it. What happens in Broadway plays that sell out season after season, year after year? Broadway plays that pack the house. There's a protagonist and an antagonist, and orchestras and drum rolls and pyrotechnics and people that fly down from the rafters and Phantom of the Operas that come through trapdoors, all sorts of stuff to keep the audience entertained. That's politics? Of course. What if the Broadway play, and this is new, so maybe they pack the house on the opening night. Oh, this one's new. It was nothing but a desk sitting up on an empty stage. No curtains, no nothing. And then some guy walked out, dressed in a suit, and he sat down at the table. There's no music, no nothing. He said, I'm here to work for you. Now, if you allow me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put my head down and do the best I can for you. They go, boo, and they start throwing shit out. We want to be entertained. And in a sick way, the people want these sideshows. They would say, we're tired of the corruption, but deep down, the sick World War Z individual zombie, they want this sort of sideshow. And then they can get invested in their side. And see, if you're invested in their side, then it allows all the politics to do what they want to do with all the trillions of dollars thrown around. Because if your side's thrown around and wasting their trillions, then it's okay. But then the other side gets in power, and they can waste their trillions, but then you're invested in that side. So it's okay if you waste my trillions, because that's my side. See, if nobody gave a shit, just one guy at a desk, and everybody checked out, at some point they might say, why are you wasting my trillions? That's part of it. Let's not go on forever. There's a lot of reasons why they conduct the sideshow. The point is, how stupid are our family and friends who believe it? I'm not joking. The average moron on the street hasn't even for 5 minutes played out how January 6th would have worked if Trump would have been successful. If there's no possibility for that side to ever be successful if you just play it out for 5 minutes. Meaning, so why would Trump do the risk-reward of trying to hold on to power versus risking 40,000 years in jail? There is no scales of risk-reward because there is no reward if you just play it out for 5 minutes. But the average idiot on the street isn't even capable of doing that. Okay, so they get into the Capitol building, right? And Trump planned all this, so that's the whole point of the charges, right? That's the whole point of the arraignment and everything. Well, Trump, his people are behind this, the break into the Capitol building, and there's no other explanation for the break-in of the Capitol building than he was trying to hold on to power and thwart the democratic process or whatever, not allow the inauguration of Biden to go through. If you just play it out, it becomes absurd. Okay, his people are in the Capitol building, and let's say Trump comes and joins them. Again, like sets up the sandbags and he's in there with them. Well, now what? Now what? How is that holding on to power? The Joe the Joe Biden inauguration is not going to go through. Well, Matt, there'd be other protests around the country. Yeah, there maybe the conservatives descend upon Madison, the damn Capitol building's right in the middle of the city, and they take that over. Well, okay. Well, there are a few of these events. Well, now what? Okay, they're in there. Well, does that mean they hold on to power? We'll just proceed with the inauguration. Just go forward with everything else. What does that mean? They're in there, and they're never going to be able to. Let's just say they secure themselves. They're not going to be able to be removed by, say, the entire Marine Corps or the 101st Airborne or Navy SEALs or Black Ops or Special Ops could never remove this pickup truck army that got into the Capitol. If you just play it out for 5 minutes, which nobody on the street does, it becomes absurd. Well, what's the ultimate goal? How does getting these Q-tards into the Capitol building have Trump hold on to power or continue with the presidency as emperor? How does that work? There'd be no, that's it. Everybody would just accept that. Oh, that's now he's now in control. He's got his pickup truck army behind sandbags in the Capitol building. No more tours. No tours today. When are tours going to resume? We came all the way from Skokie. So that would just thwart the entire process. If anything were real, they'd say, okay, well, they can be held up in the Capitol building. Like we said, like Inside Man will deliver pizzas and water, whatever they meet their demands, whatever we could bring in place. They let them have it. We don't want any violence. We don't want Waco. Let them be in there for 6 months. We're just going to proceed with everything else. Life just will go on. I mean, if you just play it out, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. The average man on the street is too stupid. Like I said, as far as game, you can't sit here. You stupid as something. You can't sit with Joe Biden here. They're so stupid. They won't even play it out for 5 minutes. And then we have to go sit down at the table at Thanksgiving with them. Thanks for listening.